And so, what I'm doing is the reason I sprayed the surface of the underpainting with water is that it helps the interactives just glide across the paper a little better. And you tend to get some brush strokes being left in the paint that you apply, which is really helpful for painting animals which have, hair or fur. And it also creates, because you get these little frayed edges to the patches of paint that you put down. You also get lots of little brush lines, especially if you're using a slightly frayed brush like I am. And that helps to create just a little bit of a sense of 3D through the contours that are created. It's a technique I use quite a lot. I do mention it in quite a few of my videos, but some things I feel are worth repeating because they're so important. And this is one in particular I think is very, very, just a powerful little technique. It's perhaps not that obvious when you first glance at a painting, but I think it does help add to the illusion quite a lot. Okay, so now we'll move on to the nose of this animal on the right here. Oh, actually I've missed off a little highlight there on this chap, and a little flash of light on his nose there too. So back to the guy on the right. So as I'm painting this highlight colour on, I can quite deliberately just go over the edge of some of the shadows I put down earlier, or not, as I see fit. And it just helps to break up the rather hard edge of the conventional acrylic that I put down earlier. Now, that can be a really cool stylized effect if you want a hard edge in your finished work, but on other times it can be a little bit of a disadvantage because hard edges in reality are relatively rare, I would say, especially if you're dealing with something which is in general fairly rounded in nature, like an animal. So adding this before I just had pure ultramarine blue, if you remember, and then the very dark shadow colour. So immediately by adding a highlight colour, a third tone, to the depiction of these animals, I'm automatically creating a more subtle sense of 3 dimensions than I had before, because before it was just, mid-tone and deep shadow. Now it's mid-tone, deep shadow, and a little bit of highlight. So now we've got 3 levels of tone instead of 2. And in addition to that, because of the way I'm applying the paint, little bits of the underlying darker tones will show through here and there. As I mentioned, I'm doing a little bit of overlapping of shadows and their edges, so there'll be little effects coming in there. So we're probably creating something like, if we don't think about it too deeply, probably about 5 different levels of tone. But 3 are going to be the main levels. They're going to be 3 main levels. So really at the moment, although I'm obviously doing a painting of a group of 4 cattle, for the most part at this stage I'm really just looking at the 4 animals as